My husband hit me at the dinner table in front of his entire family. No one moved. Then his mother leaned over and whispered 3 words that changed everything. His hand hit my face before I even heard the sound. 1 second I was laughing at a joke. The next, my head snapped sideways. Earrings swinging, cheek burning, every fork stopped. Nobody moved. Not Daniel, not the cousins, not my father-in-law, who just cleared his throat like violence was a bad smell he was waiting to pass. Richard stood over me, suit perfect, wedding ring shining. You embarrassed me, he said. I touched my cheek. No blood. That seemed to disappoint him. Then his mother Evelyn leaned across the table. 70 years old, hands trembling, eyes full of decades I didn't want to understand. I stayed, she whispered. Don't become me. Richard's jaw tightened. Mother, 1 word. She flinched like a reflex, and I understood everything about this family in that single second. Daniel laughed first. Soft, cruel. Come on, Clara, don't make this dramatic. You know how Richard gets. I looked at him calmly. Do I? Richard smiled then. The polished public smile. The one that made judges trust him. The one that kept employees afraid. You're tired, he said smoothly. Go wash your face. His hand landed on my shoulder like a deed of ownership. I stood slowly. I'll wash my face, I said. He thought obedience sounded soft. Mine sounded like heels crossing marble floors like a countdown. In the powder room, I locked the door, stared at the red mark spreading across my cheek. Then I opened my phone. The dinner recording had already uploaded to the cloud. What Richard never knew, what none of them ever bothered to learn, was that before I became his wife, I spent 8 years investigating corporate corruption for multinational firms. I knew how to document everything. The security camera above the wine cabinet had been mine from the start. The attorney who called me twice a month still did. Richard always called my old career boring paperwork. He never understood that paperwork destroys empires. The next morning, he rewrote reality over coffee. You slipped, he said, sliding a cup across the island. Everyone saw you drinking. I had half a glass. You're emotional. He leaned in close. You'll attend the charity gala tonight. You'll smile, and you will never embarrass me again. I looked at the hand resting on the counter. The same hand. Or what? I asked. His eyes went cold. Or you'll learn what loneliness really feels like. That afternoon, Daniel dropped a folder on my table without knocking. Bennett men never knock. Post-nuptial revisions. Legal threats dressed up in clean language. Leave and get nothing. Speak publicly and get sued. Accuse Richard and get called unstable. You think you're the first woman to try this? Daniel smirked. I almost laughed. You brought an intimidation contract to a former compliance director. His expression cracked. Just once. Men like Daniel researched assets. Never people. That night, I wore emerald silk and covered the bruise perfectly. Richard guided me through donors and politicians, each hand on my waist a warning. Then I saw Mara Chen near the bar, standing next to Inspector Reyes from Financial Crimes. Old colleagues. I had invited them 3 days ago. Richard noticed. Friends of yours? He asked quietly. Yes, I said, smiling for a passing camera. That's exactly why they're here. 9:17 p.m. Mara filed 3 emergency motions. 9:23 p.m. Sealed evidence reached the state attorney's office. 9:31 p.m. The Bennett Foundation accounts were frozen. 9:40 p.m. Daniel's phone buzzed and all the color left his face. I lifted my champagne glass toward him slightly. Richard cornered me on the balcony. What did you do? He hissed. No polished voice now, just panic. I listened, I said. To what? To your mother? To your accountant? To the assistant Daniel trapped in an elevator and forced into silence. His face went white. I held up my phone and pressed play. The dining room, the laughter, his hand rising, the slap, Evelyn's voice. I stayed. Don't become me. Richard lunged. The balcony doors opened behind him. Mara entered first, then Reyes, then officers. The ballroom music faded as every head turned. Richard Bennett, we have a warrant. You can't use private recordings, Richard snapped. Mara smiled. You signed the home security consent form yourself. The crowd shifted. Donors stepped back. Politicians looked away. Richard made one last move. My wife has been emotionally unstable for months, he announced, loud enough for every camera in the room. I walked to the center of the ballroom, pulled a makeup wipe from my purse, dragged it slowly across my cheek. The foundation disappeared. The bruise stayed. Purple, ugly, real. Every camera captured it. The room went completely silent. Then Evelyn's voice cut through. He hit me too. She said it again, stronger. Not anymore. Richard pointed at her. Don't, and that's when the handcuffs came out. But nobody was watching Richard anymore. Every camera in that ballroom was on his mother, standing straight for what looked like the very first time. And the question burning through every person in that room was the same. How many other women in this family had been waiting to stand up too? Full story on the channel, linked below.